Welcome to Mighty Married Moms. Join us at our kitchen table twice a week as the Mighty Married Moms, Debbie, Linda, Wendy, invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy, building marriages with soul-satisfying connection, raising happy, healthy, successful kids. Conversations with Mighty Married Moms will bring you closer to the life you really want. Episode 5.
Hi, we're here with Mighty Married Moms, and we recently had the pleasure of talking with Dr. Kim DeRamo. What an amazing conversation. Mm-hmm. She's just beautiful, brilliant, she has amazing energy, and we could talk to her endlessly, really.
It was a fantastic conversation, yeah.
She really epitomized everything about being mighty, about being married, about being a mom. I mean, she really pulled a lot of threads together for us,
Definitely.
Didn't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was really struck as a woman who's carried a bit of extra weight most of my life. When she talked about not being in battle with my body and having my body be an ally, that almost brought a tear to my eye because it is, I think, mostly said, bad Wendy, bad, how come my body does this, or how come I'm overweight, or how come, so I have had a negative relationship with myself, and that whole concept of coming in alignment with my body and letting my cells and my decreased stress bring the cortisol down. I'm treading in your water here, but I just found that really helpful.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to weight, and I'm sure most of you who are listening have probably experienced this, it's always a process of I don't like the way I am, and I want to be over here and I'm not, so I don't like the body that I have. And so for her to give us that different perspective of I love the body that I have, I'm in alignment with my body knows what to do. I know when I talk to people about health, the first thing I ask are, what are 3 things that you know you could do better? Right? Because we know deep down inside our body knows, and our body wants to be healthy, and our body wants to operate at optimal health. So it's in tune with us if we allow it to be, and that was a really important, I thought, piece that she brought up is to accept who you are now, love who you are, and it sounds so corny, but you know what? It's not. It's true, and it really affects you on a cellular level. And when you're have optimal cell, your cells are working optimally, you're going to be able to lose weight. You're going to be able to have a happier life. You're going to be able to be more successful. Whatever it is you want to be, all that affects you on a cellular level.
Yeah, it comes down to stress. I mean, when you're stressed out, you create all kinds of neural pathways in your brain that are not optimal for being happy and for doing the things that you want to do, like losing weight or being healthy or just feeling good about yourself. Stress causes all kinds of problems.
Black blow.
The black blow?
No, back blow.
Oh, back blow.
It just really kicks back on you in a bad way. It's just like not...
Yeah, and it's actually, stress is more toxic to your physical wellness than anything else. Right? So more than the food that you eat, more than the toxins in the air, all the things that we sort of typically think have to do with physical health, stress actually affects you on a deeper cellular level.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been trying to do some studying about this over the last year or so, and Kim brought it right to the forefront. And I think that's key is stress changes your body chemistry. It changes the cells in your body. And if we can understand that and move to do something productive with that knowledge, then we can change not only ourselves, but as she was pointing out, everybody else around us in our families.
I'm going to put you both on the spot right now.
Okay.
You're going to kill me. It's all right.
Okay.
The 3 of us have undertaken a new way of living life in the past 1.5 to 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, that we got off of a grid that we've been on. I'm going to ask you both, I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't been sick in about 2 years because I'm in alignment with who I am as a person and who I am as a woman. I have not been sick. And I'm not going to knock on wood. I'm not. And I just haven't. I've been taking good care of myself. I've been enjoying my life, and I've worked harder than I ever worked in my on-the-grid life.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So can I ask you, have you been down and out with illnesses or whatever? Debbie's looking at me.
I was sick over Christmas, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think because I have been working really, really hard at being a parent coach. It's a relatively new business for me, and so much to learn about marketing. All those years as a teacher, You don't know about marketing, Ray. I'm just dealing with the kids in front of me, so I've had a lot to learn, and it's been a lot of hours. And I think by Christmas time this last year, my body just said, "Okay,
you need to sit down."
Yeah, I needed to sit down. And
right.
So
which is probably a good response. But have you been as sick as you were other years?
No, yeah.
I think that's really key when we're in alignment with ourselves and what we're meant to be doing, or things that really give us a lot of energy. So the whole mind-body connection is just fascinating. It's just fascinating. As a former nurse, I know that there's a lot to unpack there.
I'm sure you do.
Yes.
I'm sure you do. Watching our sort of Western philosophy on health and wellness, and seeing the shift happen, as Kim was saying, and even in the past 10 years, it's a slow process, but it is happening, and more physicians, experts are becoming very interested and researching the mind-body connection.
Right.
It's no longer kind of like, whatever.
I just love her story too. Kim's story was really fantastic. Everything about how you healed yourself essentially by completely changing the way you approach this. John Assaraf is a friend and mentor of mine, and he tells the exact same story. He had colitis, or I think that's what it was, and within he was told he was supposed to do this, he was supposed to do that, all the medications he was supposed to be on, and with, I think he said, 3 weeks, he was able to completely change himself because he decided that he was going to do things differently. Right. And he's been incredibly healthy ever since. He did the same thing when he decided to release weight a few years ago. He promised his son he was going to get to a certain weight and be able to take John's grandchildren skiing. And he told this to his sons when they were teenagers, right? So he was able to release weight relatively quickly after that, with some hard work,
right,
mind you. But it's the same thing, once you decide that things are going to be better, they are. And that's not to say that this will absolutely cure everything. It won't.
No.
But how much better can you feel, and how much better can you do if your mindset is different about it?
Right. Absolutely. And the fact that Kim was able to reverse her chronic illness of migraines and the fatigue and, all of the allergies. She said she was showing up as being allergic to just about everything. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are experiencing that now. Allergies are really huge. And that she was able to reverse the whole thing in 10 days.
10 days is my
10 days. And all of the tools that she used to reverse that in 10 days with no medication, no needing of any of those things. They're all in her mind-body toolkit.
Which I'm going to get.
Absolutely. I am too. It's like I'm going to go order it right away.
As soon as we're done here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's just so exciting. That's maybe one of the most exciting things I've ever heard, really.
Right.
That you can, and I know that's possible, and that she has put together the tools to do it is amazing. And Kim, we want you to know that before we filmed this, we did. Woohoo!
Yes,
we did it. We did the exercise, and it really, you can feel the shift.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
really incredible.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know what woohoo is, then
back.
you need to go back and watch our conversation with Kim to get that idea. One thing you said a couple minutes ago that struck me about how we might think it's kind of like silly that we can reverse illnesses, or we might have that our mindset really has that much to do with it. It's very interesting. What occurred to me is that as moms, all we want is for our children to have a mindset that says, I'm doing great, I can do good things. But when it comes to self, we kind of go, oh, that's silly.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? How is it that we want and we really know what good, natural, happy, healthy human beings are that we spawn, but yet for ourselves and each other, I would say, other people in the world, we're a bit more skeptical, or we say toughen up, or do it right, or get off the dime. What's that about? Well, we know what the right thing is, but yet we don't apply it to self.
Because we don't actually know what the right thing is. We wish that for our kids, but we don't understand the connection and what we transmit to them. Maybe we want them to be that way, but if we're transmitting what we're feeling inside, that's what they're getting. They're not getting, what you're saying. It's what's the saying? What
Things
you
I do.
not do as I do, but what you are speaks so loudly I can barely hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think that we have to be really aware of that. And I think I've definitely noticed as my kids get older, I can see the positive things they're getting from me, and I can see the negative things they're getting from me too, just from my own personal mindset. And it's really, they're the best teachers of who you are, right? Because they're absorbing it all in, whatever we're transmitting. So I think our parents didn't understand it, so that's where we pick it up, probably. Right. And now we think we can just tell them how to be, but and do as I say, and or not as I do. I have to do.
We have
as
to
I
do
say.
in order to really transmit it well.
Yeah, and I loved the image too about whatever we are doing as the moms in the family in any situation. I mean, it could be at work for that matter, or in the grocery store. Whatever it is that you're feeling about yourself, that's what you're projecting out to everybody else, and then they're throwing it right back at you. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. If you want to, and Kim talked about also how if she wants to help kids, she changes the parents. I mean, that's why I'm a parent coach, right? It's because I know that from all of the studies, they show that kids who are most happy and successful come from good home lives. And who creates that home life? It's the parent. They're the ones who create that environment. So that's why my best hope of helping kids be happy and successful is to empower parents. And Kim's doing the exact same thing from a health perspective, and really trying to help them feel good in themselves, in their bodies, and in their minds. And I'm trying to give them the tools in order to be able to connect and communicate with their kids. And it all comes down to the same thing, essentially. You got to start with the parents.
You got to start with the parents.
Absolutely. And then I think the other important thing, as she said, is if you have maybe one person, whether it's your spouse or your child or somebody in the family who's maybe having extra problems or perceived to have extra problems from everybody else, the focus is to go get them fixed and not recognize that there's something going on in the whole family that's affecting that child or your spouse or whoever it is.
Or they're
so
showing
you're partly responsible, and you need to learn what kind of stuff you're transmitting in order to help your child. It's not just about sending them to get fixed or whatever, saying you need to change.
Right.
We all need to change.
Yeah, it's that family systems theory in the world of psychology, and that's not my area of expertise, but I know enough to make me a little bit dangerous. It's sort of like looking at the family as a whole body, and when Junior goes out and becomes a drug addict, that's a symptom of the illness of that body, of that system. Right. So it's not that Junior is extraneous and needs to be fixed as such. It's Junior's exhibiting symptoms of an illness that's in the whole family. That there's something that needs to be readjusted, recalibrated, and brought back into alignment. So that's kind of the systems piece.
And that's what I talk about in my keynote speech, actually, which is the 3 keys to unlocking the mystery of your teen's mind. And the idea is it's you got to take control, or manage is a better word, but I like the 3 C's. So control, connect, and conduct. So control your own emotions first, manage your own emotions, and there are a lot of ways to do it. Kim's Mind Body Toolkit is perfect for that. And then once you've figured out how to handle yourself, then you can connect in a loving, thoughtful, careful way with your kids. But you can't connect with your kids until you've got yourself under control first.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's really true. I don't know if it's a myth or not, but it's it's a story that I heard years ago that's been very central to why I'm doing relationship and marriage education. And it was a story about a psychiatrist or a therapist who dealt only with very, very ill psychiatrically ill children who were 3 or 4 years old that were suicidal. I mean, very compromised children. And so that was her focus, and she was very committed to this group of children, and she would do what she'd do, and she'd patch them up, and then she'd hand them off to you two. And she'd be like, she knew that she was handing them back to a home that was...
Right.
So then she decided to broaden her perspective and work in family therapy. So she went into that systems family therapy thing, and that's where she... And then finally she said, you know what? If I want these kids to grow up well and healthy, it's you two, the parents, the married couple. So she spent the rest of her career working only with marriage and marriage relationships, and that's how she knew she was going to have children that were raised in homes that were healthy because of the dynamic there. And so that was so powerful for me.
Yeah.
So, like I say, I hope it's not a myth. I hope it's real.
Well, I mean, to support that, I know of several other parent coaches who started out as child therapists or family therapists and decided they weren't interested in the diagnosis aspect of the whole thing, and they knew the only way they were going to be able to make lasting change for kids was to deal with the parents, and they became parent coaches.
Right.
These are therapists who became parent coaches.
It's like a wellness model rather than a sickness model.
Yes, yes.
Right? It's like just bringing good home hygiene, if you will, to the home and getting things in good operating order. That way you don't have to go to the doctor with your high blood pressure or your whatever, name that tune with a family disorder.
Yeah.
If you've got things kind of humming and going well in that realm. And that's kind of why we're doing Mighty Married Moms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what has struck with you guys about what she had to say? I mean, we're all writing feverishly.
I know. I'm
know,
looking at my
I know.
notes. I'm looking at my notes. Well, one of the things is she was, of course, being a former public school teacher, she also talked about the boxes that we put kids into
Yeah.
and what we're teaching kids in schools, and we're teaching them to
Yes.
conform. And I understand that that's the best way to get things done. If you've got a classroom of 20 or 30 kids in front of you, regardless of the age, and you have mandates from the state telling you what it is they need to know in order to graduate and for you to keep your job. I mean, we've kind of set up the system so that that's the only way we can do it. And I don't know a better way, but there's got to be a better way. There just has to be.
Well, unfortunately, our education model, there's so many things we could talk about that. But,
Well, maybe we'll get the
An education
Yeah, we're
person
going to get an
here.
education person. here.
Yeah, like you said, the system really does have to change, and it's tough. And certainly raising boys, I think the school system is set up to teach girls a little bit better. It's a little bit better of a model for them.
Yes.
It is not the greatest model for boys, and now they're taking away art, and they're taking away music, and they're taking away recess, and they're taking away all these
taking away
things.
library.
They're taking away the mind-body connection, right?
Yes.
And they're really not valuing the mind-body connection. And I think that's where education definitely needs to change. It's like we need to learn math, we need to learn science, we need to learn all this. And as she said so eloquently, is that we're teaching them you got to go get all these skills, right? And then you go to the job market, and I got X, Y, Z skills. When we all know that most of us who went to college didn't use our college education. We went into something totally different. Or as she was saying, I think was even more important, is the world is changing so rapidly that people are now becoming social media experts and marketing experts, whether they don't have any training in it, but they're just learning it as they go along, and that's really how
They're following their passion.
They're following their passion.
Yeah.
They're excited about it. They're really energized, and they're working really hard at it. And that's the person you want to hire. That's the person you want to work with, not who has the college degree or who has this. It's just their passion and their work ethic, and that they're willing to grow and change as the times are growing and changing as well.
Well, I will disagree with you slightly in the sense that I double majored in English and music, and I have used those so much since I graduated, constantly. I mean, the whole English thing about understanding how to think and look for kind of a thesis. I mean, honestly, knowing how to state a thesis succinctly is a really important skill.
Right.
If you're writing a blog post, if you're writing a newspaper article, if you're making a presentation, I mean, so those are skills that are important. So
Well, it's not the skill so much, but it's did you get a job in
English?
Did you teach English?
no, but I can use what I learned,
Of course.
in so many different things. And I think the point simply is that whatever it is we decide to study, be open to the fact that it could
be applied.
It could be applied anywhere.
Correct.
Those skills can be morphed
Correct.
to almost anything.
But now, how we moved away from what's it called? I can't even remember what it's called. We have a very transactional education system. You study engineering to become an engineer, as opposed to what was it used to be called? There's a word for when you study the classics and you study.
philosophy or something.
Yeah, but but there's I'm signing up as a blank major. I'm sorry, everybody in the audience is going
Liberal
"It's
arts?
this liberal arts.
Okay.
Liberal arts, that's fallen out of favor. But liberal arts, you'd study English, you'd make a good thesis, you'd learn.
What I studied.
You'd learn the history of Western civilization, and then when you go out in the world, I remember the day when I was like, I think it was 3 or 4 months into my freshman year of college, and I was like, oh my goodness, music is related to French. and it's related to math, and it's related to history. And oh my God, all of a sudden the lights went on that all these seemingly disparate coursework that I've been doing all through my childhood, history class, math class, were siloed. And then all of a sudden, one day I was like, oh boy, it's all connected.
Yeah.
But I was in a liberal arts environment. So what if we're all in, taking graphic arts or whatever so that we can get the job? So I think that's what you're speaking to.
It is what I'm speaking to. And actually, we sent our son, Jack, to McAuliffe Charter School for middle school. And that is their educational philosophy, is that they're connecting all of those subjects together. Just really, it's a very different experience he's having. And I really love it. And it's not that, the Natick public schools are bad. They're great. They're amazing. But to have him be able to have that experience is really, we feel, it's just really important.
And I think to bring this back full circle, what we're saying here is what Kim was talking about too is all of this stuff that we're teaching kids in school is, as you say, not necessarily connecting their minds and their bodies together.
Correct.
And
how they were created, what their unique gifts are to bring to the world.
And that's really where we're falling down in the education area. And so if we can't change the educational system, then we got to change our homes.
Right.
Yes.
And help our kids connect their minds and their bodies so that they are healthy and that they are happy.
Right.
And
they'll grow up and change the educational system.
there you go. That's right.
And they're going to be more integrated human beings. I loved when she was kind of using her hands to say, conform or rebel. But there's this third way of saying, I'm going to annoy a lot of people, probably who want me to conform or who want me to rebel. But nonetheless, I'm following my true north. I'm following who I am. And if we could, so again, bringing it back, the moms, the dads, the other people in the home have to be kind of living that and valuing that and bringing that to the table so that our children can feel like, okay, great, and they're going to look different from the kid that's sitting next to them, the sibling. Everybody's different, and do we value that? Or are we all like, our family always goes to Harvard, right? I think that's what we're trying to say is that mind-body connection when a kid feels disconnected from who they are.
Yeah.
And this external pressure to do something else builds up the stress, builds up the cortisol, and it just doesn't work well.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work well. Yeah. I totally loved what you had to say.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. It's just all about connecting the mind to the body and recognizing that they influence each other so very much. And you need to take care of the mind and you need to take care of the body. And you can't just do one in isolation. Let's say for me, I make sure that I exercise pretty much every single day. And yet if I don't get enough sleep, which has been this week, or if I don't eat properly or something like that, it's going to affect my body.
Right.
And the same way, my mind, and basically what I'm saying is they're related. You need to take care of both.
Totally. Yeah. And I really like what she had to say about how the grooves in the brain, if you start off having a negative, like, I'm so fat, I'm so blah, and then when you walk down the street, you're going to see things that reinforce that. You're going to say, oh, look at the trash in the street, as opposed to saying, look at the snow, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It just builds on itself and builds on itself that what we attract this negative track thinking or a positive track thinking or maybe a striving the middle road to try to find that balance between I don't want to be negative, but it's hard for me because I'm used to it. So that was just very, very interesting how the chemicals can really be shifted and the grooves in the brain can be changed.
And that's where gratitude comes in. And they've done a lot of studies now on the practice of gratitude, daily gratitude practice, where you wake up every day and say 3 things for which you're grateful, or you have a gratitude journal. Or the whole point is once you start looking for things to be grateful for, all of a sudden you see them everywhere.
Correct.
It's like that door. When my husband and I were looking for a door for a house last summer or a year and a half ago, everywhere we drove, all I saw were doors. I never looked at doors before, but I told my subconscious mind that was important to me.
Right.
And so that's what I saw.
Right.
Or if you're looking for a new car, okay, so I'm looking for, some red Honda, whatever it might be, right? So all of a sudden, everywhere you drive, that's all you see.
Yeah.
You never saw them before.
So we all have that experience. I love that you brought that up because we all can say, oh yeah. When you tune your mind to something, all of a sudden it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So the same thing. If we tune our mind to the positive, to the great, the things that we're grateful for, to the things that our kids do great. Yeah, of course they need to be schooled up and better. Of course our husbands aren't perfect. Of course I'm not perfect. But if at the end of the day, I'm training myself to see the more of the positives, they're just going to keep popping up,
Right.
like those red Hondas everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Your mind is a receptor, right? And it doesn't know what's real and what's not. And so the more positive input you put into it, certainly you're going to start attracting that. And I know that's something that I talk about all the time with my health and wellness and clean eating practice, right? Every
Yes,
day
you
we
do.
get up and we do a morning gratitude and before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's very hard to start the day in a bad mindset if you get up and say, I'm grateful for. Even if it's just one thing. It just, you change that chemistry. And so you feel good after doing that. There's no way of feeling bad when you think of what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
Right. And if you find yourself saying, well, yeah, Linda, look at you, you're beautiful, or whatever, turn that off. That yeah, but is a killer. It's a killer in relationships. It's a killer in self-help. It's a killer anywhere you go. If you're listening to something that makes sense to you and you say, well, yeah, but if you had my life, you would be grateful. Yeah, but if you had my husband, you wouldn't be grateful, whatever. Turn that off and find a way to find something to be grateful for.
I think I'm going to write a blog post on that one. That's brilliant, Wendy. Thank you.
But?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but.
Oh,
No
yeah,
more
but.
yeah buts.
No more yeah
Yeah,
buts.
it's
Yeah,
all thank yous.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, it's totally key.
Yeah.
Totally key. Yeah.
Well, this has been great. This has been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right.
well, thank you so much for tuning into Mighty Married Moms, and we will catch up with you again next week.
All right.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Mighty Married Moms. Tune in twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays to meet fascinating and inspiring guests who will help you create the life you've always wanted.
You can find these episodes and special gifts just for you at mightymarriedmoms.com, as well as a link to our Facebook community,
where we continue the conversation around the kitchen table. Please also help share the love by leaving a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.